Hello, Facebook friends, family, and everybody in between. Um, Today's our first blog. Woohoo! Miss Ashley's not gonna be here with me today. Unfortunately, she had to go to work, and we got a little late start last night, so we weren't able to make the video last night. But we are here today. At least I am to give you guys some information, some clarity, and some answer some burning questions that I know a lot of you might be asking or wanting to ask. Some of you may not have had the guts to ask me or anything like that. Don't worry. Get some clarity on you. Some information, some knowledge inside of that head. Um, we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Talk about transition. Talk about how to treat a trans person. How to help them out if you know one. How to motivate, how to deal with the changes and the challenges. It's a rebirthing process, you guys. It's a retransition. It's a growing up again. It's a changing your life aspect. It's rebuilding those walls that you built, rebuilding the person that you built, um, trying to rebuild yourself so you can be happy. So amongst rebuilding yourself, you have to rebuild relationships around you, and in order to do so, they need to know how to handle it. You guys need to know how to handle it if you are knowing somebody who's transgender. I selected to do all of this because I know people who don't know anything about transgender people or being a transsexual or anything along those lines. So today we're going to clarify some questions, some answers to kind of help motivate you guys, kind of help you guys understand a little bit of things better, and so you guys can just get an insight and some intelligent answers, hopefully, to help you along your way if you are considering transitioning. If, like I said, if you know somebody who's considering transitioning or anything along those lines. I've got several questions written down. I got my little notepad over here. I may look at and answer some questions for. I know the number one question is why? Why the page? Why the YouTube? Why are you doing this? We decided that we wanted to keep the transition, everything about the transition, separate from anything else. We wanted to keep it separate from being or doing anything else. We didn't want the rest of our life to get caught up and take away from the things that could be learned through the transition process. So we decided to do it to help people out, to educate people, to help build better relationships for people, to help people who are going through transitioning and may not know what to do. And just for anybody who's curious, we wanted to keep our transition separate from everything else. We wanted to be able to have a place where we could solely speak about the transition and not have to worry about anything else. And that's kind of what we get to do here. We get to give you guys an insight of what it's like to go through the transition for both parties, for someone who's actually going through it, and for the spouse of someone who's going through it. We notice that not a lot of people talk about the side effects on how they affect them as a person other than the transgender person, meaning that the spouse doesn't really come forward and explain anything. So we wanted to give you a different opinion on that. We wanted to help you guys understand the difference and what it's like to be a single trans person compared to what it's like to be a married trans person, how we make a relationship work, how we help with the things that we struggle with through the transition processing. Because there's definitely a lot of things that we go through. It's not an easy road for either one of us. My wife is African American, so to us, we automatically have so many judgmental biases going amongst us and all of these different challenges that it's just easier to be able to explain to you people what you guys need to know and to help you understand it better. Because we all want equality in this world. In order to have equality, I feel like more people need to understand what they're trying to get equality for, who they're trying to give it to, what we're trying to do for ourselves. So we'll definitely start off with some questions that have to do with changes. As you guys can hear, my voice is definitely lower than what it was before. That is definitely something that has changed. We're definitely going to compare temporary and permanent changes. Um, what are temporary? What are permanent? Temporary changes include body fluctuation. Basically, the body fat fluctuates and into a different aspect of my body, which means that it'll go from the thighs to the stomach and the chest, and certain things like that. So I'm definitely noticing those changes. The body weight is definitely though something that is temporary, meaning that at any point in time that I would stop the shots, my body would go back to putting fat into areas that normally a woman would gather it, such as your hips, your thighs, certain things like that. Whereas right now it's all going into my stomach and my gut, um, which makes it easier to work off actually. Um, I definitely understand why women always complain about having big hips or big thighs or things like that. It's definitely hard to lose the weight off of those areas compared to being able to just do sit-ups all the time and work your abs out. So I definitely feel sorry, and I'm so sorry, ladies, that you guys have to suffer and deal with those kind of mental exhaustions that happen when you try to work out. I know it hurts. I know it sucks. Um, I definitely understand. Other temporary changes include um, menstrualing. Uh, Basically, I still have the female reproductive system, so even right now, if I was to stop testosterone, I would basically in the next month or so be able to start reproducing again, and being able to have what a female would have. Unfortunately for me, that's not something I ever want to do. Um, it's nice to have a spare set of eggs, basically, simply because me and my wife go through some issues. She has some very major health issues right now that make it impossible, or feels like impossible, to conceive a child at this point in time. We know later on down the road that there will be one, and we know that we have backup plans, but um, it's definitely something that we've got going on. So basically, the temporary change is that I no longer deal with the cycle that women deal with. That kind of stopped immediately. And I do want to let it be known. They sit there and they tell you, oh, these changes don't occur till this month. This changes don't go off of anything that you read or hear or have been told about. Well, these changes happen this time. Those changes happened for that person that time. For everybody, it's different. If your hormone levels are automatically higher, then what's going to happen to you is going to happen a lot quicker. Me personally, I'm finding that out. Um, it's been 2 months, 2 months on testosterone, 8 weeks now, and I'm already growing facial hair. I've got small little black strands. I've got the mustache going on, a little black mustache. And then I have blonde hairs, blonde, fine, prickly hairs growing everywhere because I used to be naturally blonde um, when I was younger. So for me, I've got like a two-tone thing going on. However, they normally tell you that your facial hair and all that stuff doesn't start kicking in until about 3 to 6 months. For some, that is true. For some that have lower or testosterone levels, it's going to take them a little bit longer to catch up. For someone like me, I've naturally had higher testosterone levels, so my effects work a lot quicker. Meaning that hair, for instance, grows faster. Which hair is one of your permanent changes. Your hair won't decrease once you've been on testosterone for so long, which means that my body hair um, won't not grow the way it has started growing. It won't be as it will continue to grow. It will continue to be dark. It will continue to be coarse. It will be continue to basically be manly, um, regardless if I would continue on or not. Another thing is the vocals. This is something that I've been told recently a lot, that they can definitely hear the change in octaves. It's kind of gone down, and it slowly will decrease. I told my therapist that I wanted to be at Justin Timberlake. Like, if I could get that level of vocals, I'm okay, because then I could pass. Anything higher than that, I'm kind of SOL. And ironically, she said, "What happens if I turn into Josh Turner and I have that really low voice?" That kind of scared me too, because I really don't want that low of a voice. That's too low for me. It's kind of like want a medium voice. Like I said, Justin Timberlake would be my high point. Um, Other than that, I don't want to go any too low. But I definitely can feel it changing. Personally, for me, you guys hear it. I feel it. Basically, how it feels is my throat is constantly swollen. My throat constantly hurts. It's a very discomforting feeling. And basically, what's happening is my vocal cords, you have vocal cord in your throat, creates the different volumes. Well, the ones that create the higher volumes are being suppressed, to whereas the one that creates the lower volumes are growing. Basically, that being said, my vocal cords are swelling and growing and shifting into what sounds low, what sounds high. I can't physically shriek anymore, scream, high pitched. It won't happen. I can't get my vocals up to that point anymore. I tried to for Halloween and nothing happened. It cracked, it went out. It was just air. It was ah. Um, so I can't do the Jonah Hill scream anymore. It's kind of funny to see how fast that changed. Like, how I could be able to have this high pitched squeaky to where now I can't get past a certain level. Um, Basically, how I feel is, after you've really belted out that song in your car, you're just like, I love this song. And you like belt it out and you sing it, and by the end of it, your throat hurts because you don't sing normally, and so you just gave that song was your favorite song. And I know some of you be doing that in your car, so don't sit there and be like, I don't know what she's talking about. You know what I'm talking about. um, Afterwards, your throat kind of hurts. You maybe have a little soreness to it, or maybe feel a little dry, or things like that. I constantly deal with that. That's how my vocal cords feel. Like I just finished singing a song constantly. Um, and so right now, that's just kind of happening. That is definitely going to be a permanent change. My vocals won't go back the way they were. Um, they won't. My voice won't go higher as it was. The vocal cords have kind of basically shifted and regrown themselves into the way that they need to sound more manly. Um, what changes have occurred so far? Um, Definitely a lot of hair growth. Like I definitely said, it's not just on my chin or my face. I'm getting black hairs on my arms. My legs are definitely growing. My underarms are definitely getting hairier. I have hair on my toes. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know you get hair on your toes. But I have a lot of hair on my toes. I have a happy trail. I have hair growing on my upper chest area. Um, my hair physically is getting coarser. It's getting thicker. It's definitely getting to where more volume in it. My hair used to be stringy, which means that this right here, this is you can tell the difference. This is the coarse, this is the thickness, this is how it's grown to be compared to before, where it was just, if it was like this, it would just be like laying across my face. I would look like some low down emo kid or something, simply because my hair never really had volume. It was never really thick. It was always stringy. It was always thin, lightweight kind of thing. So now that's definitely changing, and I'm definitely noticing it, and I feel very confident in it. To be able to know that I have hair that is volume, that I can style, that I can play with, it definitely makes me feel more comfortable, confident. Your hair is kind of what makes your image. When you get a new hairstyle, people notice. That's kind of the first thing they notice about you is anytime you do something with your hair. So for me, My hair is a very important part of my body image. It's a very important confidence booster. If I've got nice hair and slick hair and things like that, and people comment on it, they say, "Oh, you look good," "Oh, you know this and that," and it helps me pass more. I definitely like the confidence that it comes with. So to know that it's getting coarser, it makes me happy. It makes me happy to know that I've got volume, I've got the coarseness, I've got things like that. So that's definitely some of the changes that are occurring. Is definitely hair growing everywhere. I feel like I'm kind of a monkey right now. Every time I turn around, there's a new piece of hair, and I'm like, oh my god, where'd you come from? But that's definitely something that I'm noticing is hair growth. Certain aspects of my body have changed. I talked about fluctuation in weight. That's definitely something that occurs, and I'm definitely noticing. Um, I used to be able to wear size 38s in jeans, which for anybody that knows, that's really kind of a big size for an average person, period, whether you are male or female. 38s are kind of big things. They're kind of big pants. Once you hit 40, then you kind of get bigger and bigger, and it's a really big confidence and self-esteem issue. I have never been able to fit in a size 32, never, since I was a kid. I was always 34, 36, kind of maintained that. I gained weight, got myself to a 38, 40. I am now back down to a 34/32, which means that I can actually fit 32 jeans, 32 shorts. Just depends on the material and who makes it, because sometimes these companies out here, they make them and they say they're this size, but they really mean you should probably go a size up or lower because they don't fit properly. Um, that is the biggest thing for me, the weight fluctuation. Basically, what's happening is all of the weight that were from my thighs and in the lower areas of my body are now all shifting into my gut, which basically means I have the beer belly going on that people talk about. I get why men I get why we get called beer belly and things like that, because basically all of our fat, that's where it goes. It goes into your stomach. Um, so that's definitely something that has changed, is body fluctuation and body fat. It's kind of, I work out a couple times a week. We've got our own workout room and things like that. And I don't do anything major, like I don't run on a treadmill or lift 50,000 pound weights or anything like that. I simply have a little 5 pound weight that I do exercises with. I have an ab cruncher, I have a step stool, and I have a yoga mat. So we kind of implement a few different versions of workouts together. It definitely is helping. I definitely notice the changes, like I said, with the weight loss and things like that. Um, my skin is getting tighter. And what that means is I feel it tightening around my muscles. It's not fat anymore. It's not loose anymore. It's everything is toned. Everything is toning. Everything is becoming more bulky, becoming like thicker, and it's tightening. It's tightening itself. It's wrapping itself around those muscles as those muscles grow. Um, that's when I say everything's bulkier. My neck, my shoulders, my forearms, and it also has a lot to do with the job that I do. I detail cars, so that does require a certain amount of strength. You have to be able to scrub and get in, so the forearms and the hands and things like that, they kind of automatically, we're going to grow muscles regardless. But I definitely do see the tightening and the changing. My calf muscles, my legs, my thighs, even as the weight fluctuates, the areas that are losing it are tightening up. Um, so it is toning out. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice, confident feeling. It does feel a little discomfort. I do get growing pains, especially in my chest area, simply because, well, your fatty tissue that made up your breast is now becoming a muscle tissue that is making up a breast. That is what's different between a woman's and a male's breast, is the muscle compared to fat. For a woman, it's more fat. For a man, it's more muscular. So for me, my chest is actually decreasing in size and it's leveling out to where it's more muscular. And so because of it, there is those growing pains that are occurring. So those are some definite big changes right now. Nothing too major, nothing too drastic. When they say your sex drive goes up, I'm not gonna lie, that's definitely true. I'm not the kind of person that'll sit here and talk all about sex and things like that, but I can say it gives you a confidence booster that you've never felt before. And when you know that this is what you want, this is where you're at, you're making yourself happy, that confidence just kind of flows into other things, such as your sexual activities, your lifestyle choices, and certain aspects of your life. Like I said, the workout. I work out more now because of the confidence and the drive. I do feel more sexually active. Um, Sometimes I can't keep up with my wife. Sometimes she can't keep up with me. We are young, so that's kind of a good thing. I don't feel beforehand, before I came out, before I made myself happy, before I took the testosterone shots, before any of that occurred, I felt like I was 90 years old. I felt like it was not something I wanted to. Sex was never a part of my life that was, oh, I need it, oh, I have to have it, oh, it's got to be implemented. It's never something that I cared for. It's never something that was in my head because sexual activities require a lot of intimacy, and a lot of intimacy requires a lot of your confidence in your body image and things like that. Luckily for me, I'm blessed to have a wife who motivates me and notices the body changes on me, and she makes sure to tell me constantly what she notices changes. And if it wasn't for her, some of these things I'm telling you, I wouldn't even know because I would not be able to notice it. Um, Definitely some of them, such as the bulkiness and things like that. Some of the things that she is noticing, the fat redistribution, and all of those. Confidence level, self-esteem issues, definitely they're growing. I'm definitely getting better at handling those kind of things. Whereas before, I wouldn't know how to, and it would be a very big confidence decrease and self-esteem issue, and I'd face a lot of depression. I don't do that anymore. Since I came out a year ago this month, the confidence, the self-esteem, they're slowly growing constantly, and that's a great thing. It's a great feeling. I'm blessed to have what I do, um, to be able to get me through it. So, next question is, what challenges do I face as being a trans male? A lot of them. Some of them are easier to get by. Um, a lot of the challenges I face as a trans male tend to be job wise. Luckily, now I'm blessed to have a job that not only do my bosses accept me and appreciate who I am, they very much find this to be awesome and this lovely little experiment that they get to see transform in front of their eyes. So they're enjoying it. I got blessed to find lovely bosses that appreciate me and accept who I am. But it is hard, and it is hard for a lot of us out there. Whether you are trans male, trans female, whether you're just simply queer, whether you're non-binary, whatever you are, um, it's harder to find jobs than the normal stereotypic male or stereotypical female. When you see a stereotypical male, you automatically assume that you know that he knows what he's talking about, blah blah blah. When you see a stereotypical female, she's normally dressed up and girly and you know she's got a good personality or she's got good this, good that. As tend to kind of win as a boss, that's what you tend to look for. You automatically stereotypically put people in categories and put a certain bias towards them. Someone like me walks in and you get my birth name because unfortunately my name is not changed yet, and then you get this person and you're like, okay, and then all of a sudden I tell you, oh, by the way, my preferred name is Nolan and I prefer he nouns and things like that. You start to throw a lot of people off. You start to put a lot of people in their head going, what just happened? Who are you? Where'd you come from? Those kind of questions start to appear in their head and you start to notice it. I'm pretty good with feeling and telling whether people are truly honest or caring about me or the situation, or if they just truly don't give one rat's a about who I am, and they're gonna be that application that they toss over there in the maybe another day situation or something like that. I definitely do face those biases. I've faced them in jobs before. I've faced them in applying for jobs before. We get looked at a little bit differently than a normal stereotypical person would. Um, you get that kind of look of like, you're gonna make my job complicated, you're gonna make my paperwork complicated, you're gonna just throw a lot of people off for their religious views or their background views or however they view might come into play, and their discrimination might be solely because of who I am. And it's hard. It's hard because sometimes you may get the job and you need a job. We all need jobs, but you may get the job where your boss doesn't care to try to understand you, and that's what makes it worse, is being in a place where you feel like you're not accepted, you're not welcome, and you face the challenges of trying to be yourself, keep your identity, and at the same time deal with basic discrimination, basic bias, basic judgment. Like I said, luckily for me, I was able to find a job that doesn't do that. But unfortunately, for some of the other transgender people and anybody in the LGBTQ community, it's hard. It's hard to find a job sometimes. It's hard when you don't fit the profile. Um, Luckily, like I said, some of us, we do tend to find people um, that appreciate our jobs and appreciate what we can do, and they accept us for who we are. If you are one of those people that get that kind of job, you are lucky, and you are blessed. So it's definitely something I very much face as a trans male, is just finding people to communicate with that will accept me for who I am and not force me to be anything they want me to be, not try to throw their own bias views at me or anything like that. I don't have to suffer from being discriminated or treated differently. Um, which comes into, does it irritate when people use my birth name? It does in aspects, certain aspects, but at the same time, you have to learn how to cope and create your own judgment on it. You can't sit there and let that name be everything that signifies who you are and determines predestiny of what you're going to be, who you're going to be. For me, the name doesn't bother me as much. I know that I don't have my name changed, so certain places like doctors' offices and things like that, they tend to call me by my birth name. I'm okay with that because that doctor's not going to see me every day. That doctor's not going to see me every week. Um, so for me, if they just simply call me by my birth name at this point in time until I get my name changed, I'm okay with that. Sometimes you just have to learn how to be. Um, it sucks, it burns, it stings, it brings on that dysphoria, but at the same time, it only brings on as much dysphoria as you let it. If you're gonna let your name control your life, then so be it. Then your name controls your life. But if you're gonna be someone who's gonna be like, it's just a name, the people that matter call me by the name that matters, I'm totally okay with that aspect. That's how I think. Also, when it comes to family, oh, my family slips up and they call me by my birth name. They don't really truly care. They don't really truly want to try. Bogus. Not all the time. Sometimes you may be right. Sometimes they just may be those parents or those family members that you know personally. You know your family. You know who they are. You know who supports you, who doesn't, who has issues, those kind of things. So you can determine who really is truly just slipping up or who is truly doing it because they can and because they know that it'll irritate you or because of whatever. For me, I'm lucky to have a family that appreciates and accepts me. They don't judge me. They are totally fine with everything that I want to do for myself and be. They want me to be happy. That's all they want. It does create an issue for them though, in slipping up and calling me my birth name. it doesn't irritate me as much as I thought it would, simply because in my mind, these are people who have raised me, people who have been around me for 23 years of my life. For them, for 22 years of it, I was a completely different person. I was completely somebody else. I was a name that was different. I was everything that they had raised, everything that they had created, everything that they had tried to teach me. I was everything else. So when I finally made myself happy and I finally came out, I had to put it in my head that for 22 years, for 23 years almost, these people have known me as a completely different person than what I'm telling them that I want to be now. For 20 years over, in their head, in their mind, in their vocals, everything. It's a natural instinct reaction that has been programmed for them to call me by the name that they've called me by for so long. Whereas now, I'm telling them that's not who I am. It's not what I want to be anymore, blah, blah, blah. So for them, it's a change as well. When you transition, you don't just transition for yourself. You're transitioning, and there's a lot of other people it's affecting. It's a lot of people that you have to take into consideration when you say, this is what I want to be called, this is this, and this. And at the same time, you have to understand that you have to respect them. You have to give them their time. You have to let them have their own opinion. You have to allow them to figure it out on their own. For me personally, my game plan with all of this was the reason why I came up with the name that it did. For me, my first name starts with an N, and it's a 2-syllable name. So, in order for me to be able to help my family, and I know how my family is, we have a lot of K names in our family. So, whenever we get in trouble, and the K's were all around, and be like, you have to kind of go through the k before you get the right one. So that's kind of how my family has always programmed their head. They'll kind of say everybody's name until they get the right one. So for me, I wanted to do that for my name. I wanted to be able to give them something that they could start off, or if they did slip up and say the birth name, they could catch themselves and go back into the name that I want to be called. So they could go in and say Nolan instead. So I stuck with an N name with 2 syllables, just like my birth name, to where it'd be easier for people to catch themselves and be able to fit in more quickly. And, going from my birth name to Brad, it's completely different. So that's definitely something that they just have to sit there and go, I mean, with this, it helps them a lot quicker. They'll catch themselves. They'll go, Nolan. And it helps them kind of catch the beat of the name before they do it. So for me, that's kind of how I manipulated the situation. You can definitely do something along those lines. If there's a name that you like that fits into that category that was before your name. Sometimes I know it's harder to find a name, and sometimes you just find this absolute name that you just absolutely have to have and love, and you want to be that. That's fine too. For me personally, I really enjoyed Nolan. I liked the name. Came perfectly. It fit into what I was looking for. So, for me, it works. What challenges do I face with mood swings? My wife would probably tell you a different story than I'm about to. No. I'm going to be honest with you. Mood swings do come. You have to understand it's a change in your hormones. It's a change in your body. It's a fluctuation of what was and what is. My mood swings at first were more of just an irate irritability. I would kind of just get irritated easily as my mind was trying to figure out things. Now it's more of a, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, this and this and this and this. I don't get as irritated or angry as much as I did, but I do tend to get irritated, and it's mainly closer to T-Day. My testosterone day is on a Tuesday. I take it at night. So from Tuesday to about Saturday, I'm okay. I'm totally good. I'm fine. I may have my little irritations and things like that. I'm a certified asshole. I'm okay with that. When it gets to Sunday, though, that tends to be the downfall. Basically, it's like taking an energy shot and then crashing. You drink 3 Red Bulls, you're good for like 5 days, and then you just like knocked out. That's kind of how a testosterone shot works. Is that I'm energized for a few days, and then all of a sudden it's just like I'm done. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. When's the next T day? When can I do it again? Um, which is normal. Which is normal. I mean, it is a fluctuation of hormones. It's a balance of it. You're trying to find that balance. So when your body starts to run low on something, you start to face the side effects of it. My side effects are sleepiness and exhaustion and no energy and all of this and that. So that's definitely something that occurs. Um, so my mood swings do kind of come and go. I mean, it's not something I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, I don't have any, or any of this and that. If somebody tells you they don't have any mood swings, they're lying. Any transgender person knows that they have mood swings because we are taking our natural hormone and we're trying to replace it with another hormone that we are injecting. So yeah, your body's trying to figure out which hormone it's supposed to kick in more. So you're gonna have your mood swings. Um, what is it like to be a trans cis couple in the southern area? Um, it's not as hard as would imagine it is for some. Um, there are those few idiots out there at Walmart that tend to want to tell you something that they should just keep their mouth shut, or that kind of whole scenario, or anything like that. But as for us, we are luckily, we're blessed. We live in a town that really doesn't have a lot of biased judgments, simply because the world is changing. They know the world is changing, and it's kind of common around these areas. I'm lucky to be in a town that being gay, being trans, it's not something that is too big of a deal. I have teachers that follow me that are excited for what I'm doing, and these kind of teachers I never thought would in a million years consider this to be awesome or to be educational or anything like that. I have people who are very Christiany, very they live by the Bible kind of situation, who are completely okay with this. I'm lucky to have people who know their boundaries with me. And if they don't, then I don't associate with them. I'm a smart enough person to know that if you're not here for me, then I'm not here for you. If you're only here for what I can do for you, then we're not going to be friends. And it works the same way with Ashley. It kind of, we pick and choose who our friends are. That's why we really don't have any. Because you have to find the people that accept you truly for who you are. And that's the biggest thing, is trying to find somebody who truly accepts us for who we are. And so for us, though, it's not that hard. We don't face any dangers. We don't really feel like we're in danger when we walk down the streets or things like that. Now, there are certain moments that you constantly feel like you're in danger just because of the neighborhood you're in, or the people that you're associated with, or what the circumstances are. For us, though, we're blessed enough, like I said, to live in town and have a town that's not too far away where the LGBT community is thriving. We have our own bars, we have our own concerts, we have our own festivals. We have our own little community that goes on, and so it's not that hard. It's not that difficult, and we are blessed, like I said, to live in a part of the South that don't particularly care. It could be difficult, harder, in other places. There are certain towns in this state that I live in that I would never step foot in, or I definitely would feel like I'm in danger. Or I've driven through one of them before, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. We were on our way to Missouri, and I was like, not a good thing. Like, you walk through there at night, and you're just like, oh God, we got to get out of here fast. So that's definitely something. There are towns that I try to avoid. Um, Is there any places that I tried to avoid? Just towns, just certain towns, certain places around here that I know are not very big on the community. But in my town, I don't really feel like I need to avoid anything. The only thing I truly avoid is church events, anything that has to be associated with the church, simply because I know that that's where you're going to get your most biased opinion from. You're going to get those people who want to tell you it's a lifestyle choice, or want to tell you this, want to tell you that. They want to basically tell you what they think they know about you, but they don't. It's not a lifestyle choice. It's not a disease. I'm not an abomination. My mindset is just completely different than yours. My way of thinking, my way of happiness is different than yours. That's what makes us all different. That's why we have brains. They don't function always the same. So we don't really feel like we're in danger. We don't have any places that we avoid, and we're blessed to be okay in the area that we are. And trust me, that was one of my biggest things. Why I wanted to move to Colorado and all this and that was, am I going to be able to find everybody that I need? Am I going to be able to find the doctor that's okay with this? Am I going to be able to find the hormone doctor that will give me the hormones? Am I going to be able to find the therapist that is going to accept me and work with me rather than try to tell me how to think? Am I going to find the friends and the family and the job and the people that will accept for who I am? And like I said, luckily I've been blessed. I know that there are a lot of people out there that aren't as lucky as me, that aren't as blessed as I am. And I really wish that I could save them and fix them and help them in any way that I could. And that's kind of why we make these videos, is because we want to help those people know that you're not alone. It gets better. If you're in a place where you feel unsafe, move, leave. There's options. There's definitely places that are better. Um, Another thing is some of the things that we get to talk about is what it's like to be an interracial couple as well as a transgender couple. I feel like I face more issues with us being interracial than I do with us being trans. Um, and honestly, we still don't even face that many. We are blessed to be in a town that interracial couples are normal. The LGBT community is normal. They see it pretty much as normal. There are things that we still kind of have to work on as a city and as a town and country and everything like that. But for the most part, we are in a place where I feel pretty okay. Um, whose family is more supportive? Definitely mine. We're working with Ashley's family. It's a come and go process. Certain aspects of life, certain styles of life, and definitely different places of life. We face different challenges, and her and I was always face those challenges with her family. It is a different kind of aspect for the African American community than it is for the white community. For me to be a white male trans, it's a lot easier for them than her to be an African American lesbian or straight girl that's married to a trans or whatever the case may be. Um, she definitely has some family that supports her no matter what. We definitely have a good, strong support system. There's just a few family members on both sides that we kind of have to knock them down with the hammer, chisel them away, and say, hey, look, this is our life. Um, some of the other just kind of general questions I get asked constantly is, you know, why now? Why now? Why come out now? It's not like I just upped and decided, oh, I'm gonna be trans. I like it. Sounds cool. Let's do it. It's not like I woke up and said that. It's something that I've been battling for years. Family issues, family members, certain aspects of life kind of continuously drug me back from being honest with myself, being true to myself. I suffered from a lot of depression, a lot of suicidal thoughts, and things like that because of it. I can tell you that once you change and once you physically tell yourself you're ready to change, you're going to make yourself happier.